same problem. The American Hamlet is Blanche Dubois in A Streetcar Named Desire by Tennessee Williams. It's living on the surface, in mind, fearful of genuine community relationship, and therefore manipulating lust, domination on the surface throughout life, resulting in what? Very much what we have now in American culture, which is a culture more and more of a joyless quest for insatiable pleasures. You can get every possible pleasure in the world for titillation and stimulation, but still have your soul empty and your heart vacuous because there's no joy there. And joy is qualitatively different than the deep. Well, joy is qualitatively different than the superficial pleasure. And de Tocqueville could already see it. Thornton Wilder's lectures on American loneliness show this. David Reisman's great book on the lonely crowd teased this out. And it's something that one would have thought, especially Toni Morrison's work, one would have thought that black folk would have stronger buffers against, given the barbaric slavery and the vicious lynching and American terrorism of Jim Crow, which are the foundation so much of the American white mainstream up until the last 70 years or so. And yet more and more we find black people commodified, marketized, deeply shaped by markets' orientations of titillation, stimulation, spectacle, narrow success, when their great-great-grandmothers and grandfathers, who may have been materially unsuccessful because they had no money, were spiritually rich because they had a spiritual greatness that led them to still love their precious kids and sustain their churches and their barbershops and beauty salons and baseball leagues and musical connections, so that it would generate unbelievable world historical forces that would reshape the sonic life of the whole globe, with cultural ways of life and cultural modes of engaging the world, deeply Blackanized and Afro-Americanized, coming out of those great-great-grandmothers and great-great-great-grandfathers who kept that love train going in the midst of the catastrophe of American supremacy. And so the question then becomes, younger generations, especially the precious students, not just at Wake Forest but other places. The crucial question of raising in the sun of that genius from the south side of Chicago, Lorraine Hansberry. And she wrote it in her 20s. You all remember that play. There's never been a figure with more love in the history of the American stage than Mama. And her question is, Walter, what you gonna pass on to Travis? What you gonna pass on to your child? Your father died. We're looking for his money in order to get out of this hood, not because we want to live with white folk, because we want to live wherever we want to live. It's a freedom move. It's not a matter of being assimilated and co-opted. You live where you want to live. But teach Travis something. What you gonna do, Walter? We used to talk about freedom. Now it's all money, 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 money. Bling, 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 bling. Cream. Cash rules. Everything. Round me, but don't have to rule me. It's round me. That's the genius of Wu-Tang. That's the genius of Wu-Tang now. They might be from Staten Island, and we don't expect too much out of Staten Island. Well, you know that. They're not from Brooklyn and Harlem. That's all right. Those geniuses got something to say as voices in a larger tradition of a great people that says in the face of all this hatred, the love will still flow. In the face of all of this terror, the freedom will still flow. And in the hatred of all of this trauma, the healing will still flow. Ooh, what a people at our best. And in the end, if America doesn't understand that, now that it has the blues wrestling with its own more and more lack of leadership and character, if you don't learn something from a blues people, you're going to lose everything. lose your democracy, lose your rights, lose your liberty, maybe even lose your whole planet because of organized greed at the top that doesn't want to come to terms with what nature as a thou is as opposed to nature as a it to manipulate.